I'm Bjorn.
Hello.
Sorry it took so long.
It's all good.
The first one I always like to start with is if you wouldn't mind just letting our viewers know who you are and who and what you do with the society.
I'm Ersebet of Targoviste. I'm apprentice to Duchess Adriel in House Erikar. I mostly participate in the SCA doing arts and science. I have a sort of crafty background, so being able to do historical research and then apply that to a different group of people was a lot of fun. I've also tried fencing, and I also do archery with Hungarian horsebow. So I do enjoy some of the martial activities.
Interesting. Hungarian horse bows. I like it.
Yeah, it's fun.
And how long have you been playing with the SCA?
I think like 6 years. It might have been more or less. Friends have been trying to get me to join for a really long time, and it just sort of eventually gave in and took the plunge, and I attended. I think it was Kingdom ANS. I whipped together a sort of Nordic outfit because I was able to find lots of easy, historically accurate references online, and then realized I don't think this is my period, but it was fun to at least have something to wear. And certainly, I didn't look like a newbie, so that made me feel good.
Oh, fair enough. And what period do you primarily play as?
Primarily late 14th, early 15th century, and I sort of flip-flop between more standard Western Europe and Turkish.
Awesome. So if you wouldn't mind, I'm sure most of our viewers will know what it is, but in the chance that they don't, would you explain to us what cosplay is?
Cosplay is basically, there's a variety of different definitions, but it's when you dress up from a cartoon, a comic book, sci-fi, fantasy. It's costuming, but usually not just sort of historical costuming, but costuming from a fandom. So be it Star Wars, Star Trek, the Avengers, that kind of thing. And I've been doing that. 20 plus years, I guess. I sort of, I was my was I was reading a Dragon Ball magazine in high school, and I lived with me in Nova Scotia at the time, and I saw that some of the voice actors were going to be at a convention in Toronto, and so for my birthday, I asked my parents to take me to Fan Expo, which they very reluctantly did, and that was that. It kind of set the entire tone for the rest of my life. So I definitely hopped on that bandwagon pretty heavily, found my people, and learned to sew.
So definitely your experience with cosplay is quite deep and long running.
It is significant. I have been competing in masquerades since about 20 years. I'm an internationally ranked Master Division costumer.
Oh,
I haven't
nice.
competed at Costume Con just because there's some drama there, and I haven't. But as far as the like comic, sci-fi, that kind of thing goes, yeah, I've been doing that. I haven't really competed in a long time just because I can't be bothered, to be perfectly honest. I'd rather just go and enjoy myself, and it does get pretty stressful. Oh, that's not true. I competed last year. Never mind. My
Oh,
friend,
that's fair.
he's new in it, and he was like, "I really want to compete. Will you compete with me?" And I was like, "I guess so."
Oh,
And then
that's different.
then we won $200, and I was like, "They didn't used to give out money prizes." And he's like, "Oh
Wait,
yeah, that's new." I was like, "Oh."
they do
So
prizes now? Oh, fair
they do
enough.
prizes now.
Hmm.
So that
I'd
was
have to look
exciting.
into that.
Says they're just a jar of ribbons. I know, right?
So you mentioned that you learned sewing with it. Would you is it just sewing that you would say you picked up? Were there more hobbies that it kind of informed regarding the fabric arts? I know that's kind of a
Yeah,
weirdly worded question.
I'm not much of an embroiderer. I did like one cross stitch, which was like, it said like sucks to suck with a rainbow. Um, yeah, sewing is primarily my thing. My mom has desperately tried to teach me how to knit, and I made a scarf that was about this wide at the beginning and this wide at the end. It was not intentional. So, yeah, the fiber arts are definitely sewing primarily. Yeah. I've tried to branch out, but mm,
No, that that's fair.
string
That's fair.
tangles, and it's just not.
I feel that.
Yeah.
My wife is the sewing machine person. I can't
Yeah,
figure out how to use it for the life of me.
that's fair. I was very scared of my sewing machine at the beginning, and my mom helped me with a lot when I was first learning to sew. And then very quickly, I was like, "Oh, I need like and this was before the days of YouTube. So I had to sort of find ways to learn otherwise. But then once YouTube became a thing and everyone had a tutorial up, it's amazing what you can learn on there. So I'm entirely self-taught as far as my sewing goes, but like so I'm now teaching, especially during quarantine. Quite a few of my friends are like, hey, like I have this sewing machine, and in one case I just gave my old sewing machine to one of my friends, and so I'm teaching them to sew. So so it's fun. It's fun to sort of help develop new people with new skills. So I'm actually kind of enjoying that.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Would you say that your experience with cosplaying has greatly informed your ability to participate in the SCA, or just the costuming side of it, or?
They definitely helped. Like, so when I decided to go to my first Kingdom A&S, because I had experience with sewing, I wasn't nervous about looking up patterns online and deciding how to best go about making something that would make me feel like I could fit in and participate immediately. But prior to joining the SCA, I kind of actually worked the other way. I had very rarely worked with no patterns. Like when I was doing my cosplays, I would either have my friends who are excellent at drafting help me, or I would buy a Simplicity or a McCall's pattern and then modify it. So when I was first looking at joining the SCA, I immediately was like, oh, I'll just get like a Butterick or McCall's like medieval tunic. Well, I discovered they're not historically accurate, which because I was I've always sort of been in the mode of like competition worthy. And while I wasn't entering A&S for the first time when I was joining, I wanted to make sure that anything I did make would be competition worthy. So I wanted it to be historically accurate. So I had to start looking online, and I realized like, oh wow, this is great. Everything is triangles and rectangles. This is actually quite easy. So I actually sort of reverse engineered a lot of the learnings that I've done through the SCA to other things, because I don't only cosplay, I LARP, bad word. But so I do quite a bit of fantasy medieval reenactment. And all my garb looks so much better now. So I've definitely brought my ability to work with patterns and be sort of more confident in drafting my own things and fitting it to my body from the SCA back into my other cosplay work. So that's been fun.
So it's the SCA in and of itself has definitely informed your skills there. Then yeah,
Absolutely,
that's
yeah. And certainly like having the ability to sew has helped. And I do other hobbies. I paint, I sculpt, I craft, I print out vinyl decals and iron them onto things. So and that has also like helped my SCA stuff. Like so there was the like, hey, make a mask for the SCA, and I put like my heraldry like
nice.
on a mask with like my little vinyl decals. So I certainly have used my other skills. I do illumination and not calligraphy. My handwriting is terrible, but I do illumination and like someone else can write the scroll, that kind of thing. So I certainly have used other elements of my hobbies in the SCA. But I'd say honestly, like learning so much in the SCA has upped my game in the rest of my life instead of the other way around. But it gave
Nice.
me a good start. Gave me a good start.
Oh, that's really awesome to hear that, especially focusing on how the SE has helped your
Yeah.
other, even though you already had some of the existing skills.
Yeah, I had like a lot of, basic. I knew how to use my serger and my sewing machine, but I didn't do much by hand either. And I just recently made a 14th century coat entirely by hand as a challenge to myself. And after sewing that many long seams, I can definitely say my handwork has improved. So when I stitch up my dog's toys after he rips the head off the squirrels, like that seam along the neck is perfect.
Well, I'm sure your dog will be very pleased by that,
Yeah,
and then
except now I
promptly
have
rip
like
it back out.
I just have like a bunch of headless squirrel toys around my house now, so that's fun. My mom's like, "What is this?" I'm like, "Ooh."
So my next question, and you may have kind of touched on it already. I know the last year, I think it was for one of the Kingdom events, it fell on May the 4th, and a lot of
Yes.
people were encouraged to create
Yes.
or wear garb that blended with the Star Wars fandom. Um,
Yes.
in that line, I'm assuming you participated with that. Has there been any other instances, or even in that instance, where you have blended the two hobbies?
Absolutely. So one of my first 12th night events was board game themed, and since I don't play a whole lot of Scrabble, I decided to do it as a Warhammer 40K themed costume.
Yes.
So I did a sort of medieval sister of battle. So I made a hood, but that had like the Imperial Eagles on it and the Inquisitorial symbol on the front. And then I made my censer and had purity seals pinned all over my cotardie. So that was a lot of fun. So I certainly have used almost every opportunity to blend some of that in. I've got also on my Viking garb, like within my sort of beads and bling, there's some like Marvel Loki pendant miniature little things hidden in there, that kind of thing. And I did a medieval Loki for another 12th night. That I mostly of my Viking, but then I actually just wore my actual Loki helmet, which was an impressive arching monstrosity with my scepter and that kind of thing. So I actually love those events. Like, you give me any opportunity to show off more of my nerd card, like, I'm gonna bring it.
I might have to steal that idea. I've been considering a fighting kit for I think 15th century Germanic, but making it look like something out of Warhammer Fantasy.
Do it.
Because
Do it.
Sigmar.
Yep.
I mean, my heraldry has the twin-tailed comet on it because I'm not a nerd
Excellent.
at all.
Not at all. No.
No, that's awesome. I know that was one event that I was really hoping to do something Star Wars themed for, but due to work and life, just couldn't make it happen. So
There's so many like, oh, this is a great idea, except time.
yeah,
And I never sort of really want to throw something together half-assed. So I was like, if I can't make a full, like, disappointing. But yeah, no, I love that kind of thing. Like, and I think, I mean, obviously historical accuracy is important, and I love showing off creative and anachronic. You have the option to play with it, and why not have fun? And I think I've certainly seen when the SCA is advertising it at Fan Expo or other places trying to recruit new members, that kind of stuff really gets, I think, the positive kind of attention joining.
mm-hmm.
Um, so it's certainly good to sort of sometimes embrace that element of mixing modern fun with the more historical stuff.
Actually, it's interesting that you bring up the Fan Expo table because again, blending as you mentioned, the two because I've seen I think it was Isabel, Our Majesty. She made a Captain America themed outfit for one of the events, wasn't it?
Yes, I believe so. She's also I think got a Star Wars gown. I think she
Ah,
has a
yes,
Star
I
Wars
remember the
gown.
Star Wars one. That
And
one
I
was
think possibly someone has a Harley that they were wearing at FanX.
I think that is an excellent idea to continue doing myself.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, yeah, it brings the modern other hobbies and kind of shows how we can incorporate the two.
And also, like, if we're already looking for people, like, sometimes one of the barriers of entry to the SCA is having nothing to wear. Well, you don't have to worry about that at a convention because the people you're going to be recruiting are probably already halfway there and have some of those skills and interests in learning more. So it makes it a lot easier to immediately hop in as opposed to being like, does anyone have gold key? Like, so
Nope. Well, on the subject of newcomers,
yeah,
would you have any advice that you'd like to share for people that are possibly watching this on YouTube that aren't a part of the
for
society,
sure.
or that have recently joined our kingdom on getting guard together, or getting help, or finding resources?
Definitely Google is your friend. And I guess it really depends on if you can sew. If you can sew, there's so many amazing resources out there. There's wonderful YouTube videos. And honestly, just Googling like easy 14th century or easy medieval tea tunic pattern. Like that, it's actually really easy. And that's not just like, I don't just say that having sewn for 20 years. Like, my friends who are not advanced seamstresses have made gorgeous looking tea tunics, and they are embroiderers, so they actually then embroidered things all over it. And I was like, you want to do some embroidery for me? Hey, like, I'll make you the tunic, we can trade these, kind of thing, right? So yeah, I guess Google's your friend, and don't be afraid to come with something imperfect and ask for help, because my first event, I don't want to say my garb was imperfect because it wasn't, but I saw the other outfits that were what I would consider far superior to mine. And I immediately that's how I met Adrielle. I was like, can I see the inside of your coat and look at the seams? And that's how I met her, because I was flipping the inside of the coat to see the embroidery. It was a pelican coat. She hadn't actually made it herself. Someone made it for her as a gift. It's beautiful. And I was like, oh, I need that. So just seeing these wonderful things on display. So yeah, come out to an event, and there's so many people who, if you get in touch through either Facebook or one of the online communities, and it's a little harder right now because no one's no one's getting together, but this is actually the best possible time to join because fabric stores are open because they're an essential service providing mask making materials. So if you want to join now, you can start getting stuff together and you can start communicating with people and finding out, doing your research, finding out what period you want to do. Like I started with Viking because it was easy. And I really liked the brooches, and that's kind of just what I wanted to wear. But when I actually got in there and I realized, oh, there's like form-fitting outfits for ladies that aren't, you know, that hard to make, and you can get help and patterns, and there's wonderful SCA resources online. Like the SCA is great about this, not just in Eldemir, but all across all the kingdoms. Everyone wants everyone to learn and have a good time. So there's like hundreds of pages of wonderful research that walk you through with in some cases video tutorials on like how to do a fitted undergarment for ladies, and it's a lot of it is like get a friend, pin something on your body then cut it, which is fine. That works, and if you do have a bubble friend that you can work with, fantastic, and if not, get a dress form and finagle it, or even just do it on yourself. It's not perfect, but hey, it works. And again, nothing has to be perfect, so I'd say yeah, go online and just have fun with it, and don't be afraid to like be willing to change, because some of my apprentice sisters have changed their names in the SCA because they decided to just make sure that their name that they'd been using for years better fit their persona that they were wanting to develop. So you're never locked into anything, and just because you have one piece of garb from one era and one piece of garb from the other half of the world, like it's have fun with it, have a great time, and like just do your research. And yeah, it really all helps if you can already sew. If you can't already sew,
Maybe learn
find a
if you can.
friend who can sew and be
Friends.
willing to like drive them to an event and buy them coffee, or like pay for all your materials, sit down with them, and maybe they'll even talk you through how they make it. I've certainly done that. I'm like, hey, you hang out with me for the day, I'll sew for you. Like, um, so yeah, find friends, or there's lots of people who have lots of garb. Like if you fit into something I fit into and I can bring it to an event, I'm happy to lend it out. And lots of people are good about that. So again, get onto the Facebook community, or even there's great contact info on the Kingdom of Eldermere's main
Mhm.
pages. You can reach out to people who then can put you into touch with the right people, who can then get you that help you need. Yeah. But now's the best time to start because
Yep.
you can start build up that stockpile, and by the time we can do events again safely, we'll have like all that new garb.
Awesome. Awesome. And don't be afraid to ask questions.
Exactly. Oh, I'm still always asking questions, and everyone wants to talk about themselves. Let's be honest. So if you can go up to someone and be like, "I really love your XYZ. How did you do this?" Prepare yourself, because you will hear everything you wanted to know and more.
I noticed on your social media account that your profile picture, I believe, is an Imperial uniform.
Yes.
Um, does that mean you are a member of different customer groups, or do you just primarily focus on only on the competitions? Wow, I think I need more
All
coffee.
good. I am an unofficial member of a bunch of other costuming groups, but I haven't chosen to join, say, the 501st, and certainly not the Rebel Legion because I'm an Imperial. Um, but I eventually will. So eventually I will put it together and possibly join, but for now, I'm happy to sort of observe from the sidelines. I do find that, like the SCA, like every group, there's drama. So I'm just sort of happy doing my group of friends that aren't hopefully full of drama. Yes, we are, but we try. And
Try
like
not to.
just sort of chilling. So I haven't joined official groups or whatever.
And I remember the reasoning behind why I wrote that down was like I'd asked if you had any advice for newcomers to the SEA. Would you have any advice on for people wanting to get into cosplay regarding should they just kind of do it at their own pace? Should they look to join a group right away, finding a mentor or whatnot?
Yeah, having someone you can sort of always turn to ask for help means a lot. It's a big deal. And if that's one person or if that's a group, I'd say that's a big thing. So I did initially attend some of the local events at Efferwick, which was great. They helped me, sort of get introduced. They got me in my rides to my first event. They were so kind and so wonderful, and they helped me get my heraldry registered immediately because I'm big on branding, I guess. So I really wanted to have whatever my heraldry, so I could be like, this is me. And they were an immense resource. And then as I met other people, I sort of branched out and found my SCA family. But yeah, I would join as early as you can. You don't maybe need to buy the membership right away, but you should, just to support the club. Um, but I think, yeah, having that resource of it's not just some stranger on the internet, you start to get to know them and develop a relationship. And then you're less like nervous about asking questions, because post like, I'm having trouble with my ink stamping, help, and the whole family's like, you're doing it wrong. I'm like, oh, okay, thanks. So you could figure it out and have someone. It's a like a personalized, and so many people have been doing this for so many more years than anyone who's just starting out, and they are so happy to help because they want you to look good, they want you to feel good, they want you to have fun and learn new things, and that's what the SCA is about. So I think, even if you don't join a household necessarily, but if you just find some great people, hopefully in your area, well, once the pandemic's over, where they, that hands on is so important. And just really, there's crafting nights. A lot of cantons have crafting nights and all sorts of stuff when it's safe to do so. And just having that sort of community around you is inspiring. Like, half the time it's hard to motivate getting a project done, but if you have like people who are going to come over on Friday and help you with it, or B, that you've got an event to wear it to, it helps you finish things more quickly. Now, granted, there's the time-old tradition of finishing your seams in the car on the way, and I wouldn't want to
Know
take that
anything
away
about
from
that?
anyone. So, like, I would never take that away from anyone. But yeah, it's having that community surrounding you. So join early and join frequently, I guess. Yes, do it.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Hmm.
I think that is some excellent information, and your expertise on this matter has been greatly appreciated.
Perfect. Love to talk.
Um,
It's
do
fun to
you
sort of
have?
be back in my garb again. I was like, where's my
Oh,
veil? Um,
I feel that I've had this hanging up on my closet door since, yeah, I don't remember
yeah,
when.
I know, right? And it's just like, I was like, what am I gonna wear? Like, I just wanted to put it all on. I've been taking selfies all morning, like, like nowhere to go, but all dressed
Fair.
up.
Oh,
So
I feel that. I wish I could. Honestly, I kind of wish I could just wear this to work, but the
there,
uniform
some of the
requirements.
outfits are comfortable. Yeah.
Sadly, I got to wear green.
Ah, tragic.
I know. I mean, I like it, but I
Yeah.
prefer black.
Yeah.
Um,
Exactly. Right. Slimming.
so, do you have any closing thoughts or comments you'd like to say to the kingdom?
Oh, I miss everyone. I desperately miss everyone, and I just want us to all be happy and healthy and safe, and hopefully 2021 will be filled with travel and camping and games and fights and everything we want and miss. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, use this time to sew and make awesome things, make that nerdy crossover outfit you never thought you were going to do because you didn't have time for it. Um,
If you have anything else you want to add at any point, just drop me a line.
all right, sounds good. Thanks so much.
No, thank you. I hope you have
All
a
right,
wonderful day.
you too. Good luck at work.
Uh,
Oh,
bye now.
bye.